Hello everyone, my name is Tyler. Welcome to another episode of Fortnite Battle Royale Ideas, the series where you give your ideas for Fortnite and I'll give you my thoughts and implementations on the ideas. In today's video, we will be discussing the idea of wildlife. There's a lot of ways in which wildlife could be added into the game. That could be in the form of simply dotting animals around the landscape, much like the clouds and flowers are on the map for visual appeal, or it could be completely game-changing, like adding new mechanics to the game, like being able to tame a wolf as a companion or riding a horse. Or it could be somewhere in between, something that I would classify as a pure immersive experience. Today's video idea comes from Pexol, who says they could add wild animals like a bird, wolf, deer, cow, etc. You could see the birds flying in the sky, cows in a farm, wolf and deer in forests, and a wolf would be an enemy and attack you. Nolan Krieger says there could be bears and wolves that kill you in Wailing Woods, Haunted Hills, Lonely Lodge, and Moisty Mire. And there could be animals in other places, maybe being able to use their meat as a type of health source. Darnell Titley gathers some inspiration from recently playing Monster Hunter. He mentions some plant ideas, as well as a gatherer beetle that gathers materials and upon killing it, drops a stack of material and ammo. He also mentions a poison frog and a smoke fish. Also, thanks to my duo buddy and others who have given me ideas for wildlife. Whether merely aesthetic or completely game-changing, I think we can all agree that adding wildlife to the game would make an immersive experience. The definition of immersion, according to Google, is to involve oneself deeply in a particular activity or interest. Isn't that one of the biggest reasons we play video games? To truly get engrossed in a world or a system to have fun in? I'm not saying we have to make Fortnite realistic, no, but to make the world come alive and to feel like we are playing a part in it and allowing us to interact with it. Do you remember the game before they added in Tilted Towers? Yes, it's cool we have Tilted Towers, Shifty Shafts, and all the other new locations. But rather than the entire landscape feeling the same and stagnant, it now feels unique. We have different biomes. Moisty Mire looks and feels like a different place than Anarchy Acres or Haunted Hills. Instead of solid green hills, we now have flowers dotted around the landscape, grass that blows in the wind, and different plants placed here and there. The clouds move and change colors. It feels like a world. Now, if I was to make an idea video on grass blowing in the wind, I'm sure no one would care. But it's the little things that make for an immersive experience. One that engages you, makes you want to play, and allows that play experience to be an invested, enjoyable time. With that said, let's talk about some wildlife. I do have some other ideas for videos in mind for immersion and being able to interact with a map, such as cargo trains and boats you could ride, and other things throughout the map that you could interact with. In my flamethrower video, I talked about being able to fuel up weapons at gas stations, giving purpose and new meta to different areas of the map. If you have any other ideas for immersion or map interaction, leave them in the comments below. I'm going to mention a bunch of animals with some implementations, so tell me what you think, and I may go more in depth on some in a later video. In the background, you are seeing what I believe is my highest damage dealt game. I did over 2,000 damage to players. We're playing squads and we jump to junction, we see another few people land close, so we get a weapon as soon as we can, we push them, kill them, we meet up with our random who dropped at Anarchy for some reason, and decide to fully engage a squad in front of us. We take them out even though that they had the high ground, but doing so put us in the storm for quite some time. We make it out at the edge of retail, we see a bunch of teams fighting, but we realize that we already have to move on. Upon arrival of the next safe zone, we realize that we had a bunch of teams on all sides of us, and that's where it gets interesting. If you do enjoy the gameplay, give the video a thumbs up. Llamas. Llamas have to be incorporated. They're an integral part to the PvE. Imagine herds of llamas grazing everywhere, grazing fields and hopping around. Maybe you could even ride them, similar to the horse idea in my vehicles idea video. They could be tamed by approaching them quietly, and then you can ride them. The trick is that they are easily spooked and will run off at the sound of gunfire or other noises. Or maybe they are simply around the map grazing. There'd have to be a herd of them at the giant metal llama at the northwest corner of the map at the very least. Birds. An animal that could add a lot of ambiance. Sound is so crucial in multiplayer games, and that is no exception when it comes to Fortnite. Just like rain, wind, or other things that cause noise, birds could chirp, adding a bit of background noise, but also making it harder to hear footsteps in certain places where there's a lot of them, like Pleasant Park, or Loot Lake, or anywhere there's a bunch of flowers. I imagine this animal, more than any other, could also give away your position. If there's a flock of geese by the docks at Loot Lake, maybe they fly away upon your arrival. This would be a strong visual cue to someone in the distance. They would see the birds flock above the buildings and assume someone was recently there. This could also be done at some level with all wildlife in the game, but I imagine would work best with birds. Crickets are already in the game, at least in audio form. You can hear them a bunch at night. They're subtle, but I think it really adds something to the game. My favorite idea, dogs. Simply for the number of ways this could be implemented into the game. Maybe there's dogs fenced in at the houses with fences. Anyone that goes into the house or property of that house would cause the dog to bark, alerting enemies of your presence. that could simply be it, or maybe if you break the fence, the dog runs free. Or maybe if you go into the yard, the dog attacks you. Or maybe if you're the first person to land or go to the property, the dog friends you. It is now loyal to you and will follow you around. Whenever it senses an enemy within proximity, it will growl. This would keep people from surprising you from bushes or around corners, and to balance it, maybe it whines every now and again. Or honestly, when it growled, it would not only alert you of enemy presence, but the enemy would know you were there because they heard your dog growl. A lot of different ways the dog could work. I think there's potential there. Speaking of dogs attacking you, there could be wolves or bears or some sort of hostile animal in Wailing Woods or another fitting area. Bears would be curled up sleeping and would attack you if you got close, and wolves would stalk you. Wolves would chase you until you reach an area with buildings or were so far away from Wailing Woods. These animal attacks would do somewhere around 20 damage per hit, I would say, and you could shoot them to down them. I personally think Wailing Woods and Lonely Lodge are a good place to drop. It's usually vacant, and I can get good enough weapons to get me by, while still getting a ton of resources. Integrating some sort of aggressive animal would make it a little harder, or you may realize someone is over there because they are firing their weapon trying to fend off a pack of wolves. It would be interesting. Darnell's idea of a gatherer beetle would be cool. I'm imagining a large docile beetle that roams the landscape. You see more of them at the edge of the map. You can shoot them a few times, and once you down them, you gather any building resources or ammo that they drop. Maybe the longer the game progresses, the more loot you find. They could add in a jungle biome and all kinds of possibilities would open up. Or a snowy area on a high mountaintop. Maybe there's some sort of mountain goat that would try to ram you off the mountain. They could add in animals that don't exist too, like a poison frog that would release toxic gas cloud when hit, or a smoke animal that would release smoke clouds when hit. Or any other crazy animal that you can think of. They could add in squirrels or other small animals that are placed throughout the entire map. They have no real effect on gameplay and they can't be shot, they're just kind of there. Though I guess that alone would have some impact on gameplay, because if I saw movement at the edge of my screen or heard them moving about, I may think at first that it was an enemy. Something as simple as that would keep you on your toes. What do you guys think of adding wildlife into the game? Is there an animal that you would like me to go more in depth on? Is there an animal you would like to see that I did not mention? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if there's any other ways that we can make the game more immersive and ideas for interactions throughout the map. We can open and close doors, knock down trees, and build our own structures, but what if you could refuel a flamethrower at the gas station, or use the buildings in other areas for a specific purpose? Let me know your ideas. Thanks for watching and for the engagement with the channel. Subscribe for Fortnite and all things gaming. This has been Toast, and I'll see you on the next video.